What should someone look for when they are selecting a divorce attorney to represent them?
That's a very good question. So it is so important that when you're looking for a divorce attorney, that you interview the attorney just as much as they are interviewing you. So most law firms will have what we call a consultation. Some have free consultations, some have paid consultations. But during that consultation, it's kind of like speed dating where you're trying to get to know your attorney and your attorney is trying to get to know you and your legal issues. So, one, compatibility. During that consultation, you want to make sure that your attorney is speaking your language, making sure that they're breaking down legal concepts in a way that you understand. Because the last thing that you want is to be able to have to make life altering decisions and not understand the legal consequences or the legalese behind it. So, one, just make sure you have compatibility. Two, every state bar has a state bar website so that you can see if your attorney has been sanctioned, meaning if they've done something wrong, they've violated ethic rules, or they've, not done something right in a client's case. Always search the state bar website to make sure your attorney is in good standing. They actually have their license and that they've not been sanctioned. Number three, also search Google, do a good Google search. It's not always the best, but it is important that you go through those and read those. My rule of thumb is if somebody has 5 stars, I don't want them because it's a lie. So anybody that has a low 4 or a high 4, that's reasonable because we expect attorneys to make mistakes. We are people just like everybody else. And, this is a service-based industry. And so therefore, you can't please everybody. But if I see someone with a 5-star rating, either I just have my red flag up. And then four, just make sure, I don't know if that's 4 or 5, just make sure that they are in fact a family law and divorce attorney. So many times I see people just hiring any attorney for their case. Maybe they represented you for a car injury case, a personal injury case, and you have a relationship with them. But I always say you would never ask a brain surgeon to do open heart surgery on you. That's the same thing with attorneys. We have attorneys for basically everything that you can think of, and there's a niche for everything. Family laws change quite frequently, and you want somebody who knows family law, focuses on family law, and can represent your best interests. Sorry.
Hmm. That's beautiful. I love it because a lot of people, like you said, they go on Google and they're looking, and so maybe they can listen to this podcast and actually hear what you have to say before they make that decision.
For sure.
Can you share any success stories or examples of challenging divorces that you handled and you have helped with the outcome? Like, are there anything that's possibly you could share with us? Like maybe you had a challenging one, you was like, I don't know, but you came through in the clutch.
Right. So all of my cases are confidential. However, I can speak in overall terms.
Yeah.
Every case that I touch is different. Every case has unique challenges and special issues as it relates to that case. But one thing is always true. We always want to show sympathy and empathy to the people that we're serving. When someone calls my office, they are not calling because they're excited, they're happy, they want to be just in my presence. They are very much frustrated, sad, depressed, probably in one of the lowest moments of their lives. So one of the cases that I can share is actually the first case that I ever took on. It was a custody case. So I'm a family and divorce attorney, meaning I also handle cases that only deal with custody issues. And my very first case that I took on, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there was Munchausen by proxy. So if you ever seen Gypsy Rose, where the movie where the mother made up all of these elements for this child, she had her shaving her hair and in a wheelchair, and nothing was actually wrong with this child. This was my first case, and we were in a very small town. And so when you are a Houston attorney and you go into a small town, they hate you because they already think that you just are snobby, like you're going to be mean and bossy. And so when I went into that small town, they were very rude to me. They did not really listen to me a lot. In fact, for the first couple of months of that case, my client's visitation was denied because they thought that he was doing things that were detrimental to the child based on these fake ailments that this child had. We got an amicus attorney in, we got an independent pediatric doctor in, and we realized very quickly that this child had no ailments whatsoever. She didn't need to take medication for anything. To wrap that up,
Mhm.
we had final trial, and final trial, there was a huge storm coming in, right? And so the judge asked us to have our hearing via Zoom. So one thing about me is I always over prepare. So I had my staff prepare physical exhibits as well as electronic exhibits. And we sat there the night before and we went through all of our exhibits just to make sure everybody knew where everything was and what, specific thing we was going to point to. So we had both these electronic and physical uh, exhibits. This was before 2020. 2020 now, a lot of attorneys know how to practice virtually, right? This thing before 2020. So this is like a early 20, I think it was like a 2018 case. And so opposing counsel was so unprepared. Like he did not have electronic exhibits. The judge gave him like 2 hours to get it together. He couldn't get it together. And so needless to say, custody was switched over. My client, a male client, and that's a big thing because men do not win custody often. We were able to flip custody, and the judge gave, us a really good just a really good message about how we were so prepared and how she was thoroughly impressed with our case. This was my first case, and this like Munchausen by proxy. That's like very rare to have a case like that and it to be a real thing. So that's one of the cases that will always stick out to me. My very first custody case.
That's that's a lot. I would, yeah, I
I
would.
know. I know. I know.
Are there any recent changes or trends in family law or divorce law that people should be aware of in 2023?
So there are a lot of trends. It really depends on the state that you're in. Are you located in what state? In Texas? Okay. So trends. So I talk about this on my social media platform. A lot of people are not necessarily getting married. A lot of people are getting into what we call long-term relationships, which kind of a mimics a marriage because they're buying houses together, they're starting businesses together, they're having children together, but they are not getting married. And so one of the trends that we're seeing is either one, someone is claiming once that relationship ends, once someone is claiming common law marriage, which people need to be very careful of because if you're going to be moving in with somebody, it's always my recommendation to get a cohabitation agreement. So it's understood that this is not a marriage. You are not my wife. We just cohabitating together. So they're doing that.
Hold on. Let's break this down because this, I think people really need to know this. So you said a cohabitation.
That is correct. It's a cohabitation agreement. So basically, what you do, you lay out what you have, what is your property, what the other person has, what their property is, what your intentions are, and you make it very clear in contract that we, and at no point, intend to be married or act like we are married. So, in the event of a separation or a breakup, that person or neither of the parties can say that this was a common law marriage because you have a contractual agreement that says we're not doing that. And if we do intend to get married, guess what we're going to do? We're going to get a proper certificate to show that we really have that intent of getting married. So that is a big thing. People don't listen to me, but yes, cohabitation agreements. And funny thing I say that because my one of my exes, we moved in together.
Mhm.
I was on his health insurance, all these things. And so when we broke up, I was like, I could claim common law marriage, this house that you have and take 50%, but I ain't gonna do you that bad. But yeah, cohabitation agreement.
Mm. That's why I
So
had.
the problem, yeah, the problem with that, I'm sorry, the problem with that is once that relationship ends and you're trying to get things in order, maybe you're trying to get your equity out of the business, or you're trying to establish, who's going to have the house, or try to get your name off of the mortgage, you now have to go to multiple places within the judicial system to get those things resolved. So if you have children, you can go to the family court. But if you have civil issues like business disputes or property disputes, you may have to go to small claims court or like the civil court in order to get your things resolved. And that's going to cost you a lot more money than it would have filing everything under one divorce petition.
Mhm. This is good stuff. I love it. There was this question was asked actually from one of my coworkers. He said, if you get married in one state, relocate, and the marriage doesn't work out, can you get divorced in the same state?